We need to think about how the pharmaceutical industry can effectively meet innovation needs in the area of infectious disease R&D and also in antimicrobial and vaccine R&D more generally. And for this, we first need to find innovative financial instruments that can incentivize industry innovation in these areas. Now, there are some financial instruments that are being considered. So, for example, various advanced market commitments by governments to reduce commercial risk. Also, subscription-based models where pharmaceutical companies are paid a monthly fee by local health authorities or other stakeholders. And this is to incentivize innovation, and it's in exchange for a guaranteed supply of products if they're successfully developed. It's important that any sort of advanced market commitment, for example, can support access to the best possible treatments and not just to the first one that's developed. It's also important to recognize that the same solution might not be optimal for every country and every context. Now, even if the finance side of things were to be sorted out, there are some other critical success criteria for innovation in this space. And these include the need for access to data for innovation, access to timely clinical trials infrastructure and patients for trials. We also need appropriate regulatory approval pathways so that patients can get access to potentially developed treatments as quickly as possible. And then, of course, there's the issue of manufacturing and supply chain capacity. Now, with the COVID-19 experience, we've actually seen a lot of policy momentum and collaboration between governments, industry, and academia to tackle some of these needs. But as of yet, we don't really have any particularly clear criteria for when an infectious disease can trigger the types of enabling policy actions that we have seen in response to the COVID-19 crisis. The COVID-19 experience creates many opportunities to change how we innovate, but it also comes with a number of risks that we need to mitigate against and that we need to manage carefully. So first, and I guess most obviously, we need to make sure that accelerated access and the quest for accelerated access doesn't compromise safe access. We also need to make sure that if it turns out that a treatment can be used for COVID-19, but that it's also used for other clinical conditions, that we don't run into global supply chain shortages. Also, in the context of supply capacity, we need to ensure equitable and affordable access for populations across the world. We also need to mitigate against vaccine nationalism, both in terms of supply, so whose vaccine is purchased, and in the context of demand, so in the context of ensuring fair and equitable access. In the rush to come up with a solution for COVID-19, we also need to be careful not to stifle opportunities for improved solutions over time. So we really need a competitive market here. It's also vital that in our focus on COVID-19, the immediate crisis, the immediate challenge at hand, we don't inadvertently neglect innovation in some other critically important areas like cancer, like cardiovascular disease, like mental health. And finally, it's critical that the data and the innovation, the scientific evidence that reaches decision makers is interpreted, acted on, and communicated about in a way that is sensitive and attuned to societal values, societal attitudes, and beliefs. The changing landscape that we are navigating today throws many challenges our way, but it also creates opportunities to learn and to innovate better. We will need global political leadership, proactive policy making, and collaboration between all those who have a stake to ensure that the potential for innovating in new and improved ways materializes and that it translates into improved population health and well-being for populations across the world.